one thing I always like about architecture is about you read through space, not through text. Architecture is one industry which is a culmination of technologies across design. So if it is like having a partnership with the creator. When we talk about fashion, it's like you do things which are beyond proportions of logic. We are not so privileged to solve the most unique problems of the world.
Correct.
हम साइंटिस्ट नहीं हैं.
Correct.
हम जो हमारे प्रॉब्लम्स हैं अब ये ऑलरेडी सॉल्व्ड हैं, जस्ट दैट वी डोंट नो द आंसर.
Correct.
You can't solve the problem by asking how.
How?
The whole possibility that we live in is about what if it happens.
First platinum rated LEED building for an architect's office I rented. There are architect's offices in buildings which are platinum rated or gold rated. That's okay. But a standalone building owned by an architect which is LEED platinum rated, I think so. In my 30-year career, this is the first building I rented.
Architecture is something, it's out in the streets, it's not in the books.
Hello friends, welcome to Design Dialogues by Viva. Today we are here with yet another exciting episode with architect Badrinath Kaleru from Ardete, Chandigarh. Mr. Badrinath actually does not need an introduction because I've been following him for a few years now and his work has always excited me and intrigued me. But today is my chance to explore the personality behind the architect. Welcome to the show, Badriji. How are you doing?
Good, I'm good. Thank you for having me here.
No, it's our pleasure and privilege that you agreed to do the podcast. So, we do not had long conversations. It's been pretty small interactions at events, and there we've met, and then I've seen you speak from panel discussions. But I've always observed your work. It has intrigued me. It has made me wonder how a man who's so young can think so mature. That's what my opinion. So, where did architecture come into you? What age and where did it all start?
So during my childhood, I come from like a very modest background, like my mother. So all my childhood, it was more like I never knew architect was a profession. There was something like an architect ever existed.
Your work doesn't say that. Okay.
So it is more, I think it is more of like how like architecture happened to me rather than I am seeking for it. It just happened in the other way around because I never knew how an architect would work. We always thought like buildings were made by engineers and that's what they do. And there was no, I even imagine my rarest imagination was somebody who is not even in books, literature, and not even our cinema was mature enough to show architecture as a profession back those days. So then it was, it so happened that when I was studying for my JE, and it was a tough time wherein like when I wanted to get into some other creative fields which were into production, into cinema and different other fields which was of interest back then. And that's when my mother was like all on me, like as if like she said like for you the only way forward is you need to study from IIT. So that was the benchmark she wanted, and he said like that is the only thing I want. Like I want you to study from IIT, and nothing else would work.
Okay.
And I never thought I was so capable to crack an IIT, and it also happened probably as a I would say it is like a coincidence that I could cross the line. Maybe
your mother manifested it for you.
Yeah, maybe because I think because probably I never felt that I have something that in me I could cross over to JE and get into an IIT. Those older IITs, those 7 IITs, which
highly competitive.
So when I cleared the rank, it was all about okay, I was looking at but all I wanted when I was preparing for JE, I never wanted to be an engineer. So she wanted me to be an IIT. I never wanted to be an engineer. Like if we could do a Venn diagram and form a particular possibility, and that was also matching with my rank, was to get into an architectural course so that I could do what she wanted at the same time not be an engineer.
So listening to you, I feel there's a lot of providence in it, because if you are not an architect, the society would have been deprived of such wonderful buildings that you are creating. More than buildings, the spaces you create. I walked into your office the first time today, and I just felt there's an immense aura, there's an immense vibe, and that is architecture, yes, plays a huge role in that. I'm sure you would agree. And at the same time, that speaks a lot about the personality as a person you are, very centered as a person, so that somewhere translates into the space, and it flows into what you create as well. IIT is providence, architecture is providence. So what during IIT made you think the way you think today?
I think a lot during the formative years when we got into IIT, I think we were blessed with a good senior junior culture which still stays with us. And it is like even like when I got into college, probably I was like I didn't even know how to probably turn off a computer.
Okay.
So that, and I remember one of a time wherein like when I went to a senior to meet him for the first time and everything, he said, okay, let's turn off the shut down the computer and let's go and have some tea and in the canteen. So I just did it like how I do it for a TV. I just turned off everything. Then that was this thing. Then he said like, you don't know how to turn off a computer? I said, was it something different I should know?
Yeah.
Then he actually showed me how to do it, and then so that was how like learning happens, wherein like when you are put to your test, and there was also like a lot of a cultural shift, because I was from Hyderabad, and it was a very when you say that in the south the states are pretty large in size compared to north, wherein we cross 4 states in a day or 5 states in a day.
Correct.
Wherein like there they are, and the communities and cultures are so strong where they are closely knit, and everything happens around a radius of 200 kilometers. True. And that's how it has been precisely from Telangana.
Correct.
So and so from there when we actually got into like crossing 7 states in those days, like crossing by train every state, every few hours you're crossing a state, and then you reach after 2 days and you reach Roorkee. So we are like culturally so distant.
Correct.
In terms of probably that was the first time I was ever exposed to a culture, which is for us like from when we were back in South India, everything starting from Mumbai and rest of India for us is North India. Is North India. After Mumbai, everything else is North India. For us is the North India starts from Rajasthan and it ends to Northeast. Everything is North India. That's the only thing we know. But then when you come to Roorkee, it was like adapting to food and everything was a big challenge, and also even communication, because probably like I never used Hindi as a medium of communication back then, and it was very challenging where people can't understand. You come from a culture where you can't speak Hindi. Like wherein for them it's such an obvious thing, it's an obvious expression, and all of a sudden you say like you can't speak Hindi, and sometimes it's even people think you're trying it's an offensive that you're not speaking their language and you're trying to speak in English. So those things have been those initial things what we have to overthrow. But with respect to architecture, how with all these things how it actually happened was, it I think when the first thing when I've actually got interested is then when I read about Le Corbusier.
Okay.
So when one of a senior, when we had to give a presentation on architecture, and how they talked about architecture to me in terms about it was probably one of the profession where you understand people to understand their philosophy.
True.
So that's what happened. Like when he showed me about Corbusier, I remember I spent weeks and days going through different books for my first presentation on an architect, and that itself started changing things in terms of how his life changed, how his styles changed, how he became one of the greatest like master architect of 20th century.
Correct.
And reading through all of this and understanding that's probably like he didn't even go to a formal college was something that even like probably this is a kind of profession wherein it started, like it's all about observation. And one thing I always like about architecture is about you read through space, not through text.
True.
So those things started in, and that's when it like slowly things started happening, and it was always about inquiry, questioning about the conventional methods, and seeing that what could be the other possibilities. Are we like just confining ourselves to what is being accepted, or are we pushing our boundaries at every step to see what is beyond acceptance?
Correct. Listening to your answer of you not being able to switching a computer, right? And then that is a naive thing, right? It's very innocent, right? And you being that innocent person is like clay that is ready to be shaped. It's wet clay. And then IIT plays the role of molding you. You're not in a typecast. You just come fresh. You're ready to take everything that is given to you. You're hungry for knowledge. That is one side of yours. I feel that has molded into you to a person you are today, the architect you are today. But your building styles have a signature. There is a signature of Badrinath, Kaleru. And how did you establish it? Was this a conscious decision, or it just happened with the flow? And are you flexible? Do you design your spaces according to people, or you design and then make the person understand this is the right space for him?
So basically, like the whole idea, I think it's more about how our practice is driven is more about curiosity and exploring new methods or new ways or new expressions.
Okay.
Because end of the day, I think there is a possibility in terms of what like possible solutions could be.
Correct.
Because when like one of the earlier thing what have been inspired was like postmodernism was one philosophy that was really like moved and inspired, and some of when I started when we studying, it was all about architects Foster, where it has completely changed what it was. And like one of the building which really like stands was about the Pompidou Center, where it has started questioning the entire typology of a building.
Correct.
And so there have been cases where like architects have become so radical, tangential in terms of what a sense of space could be and how it could be changed, transformed. And even like how the early work of Zaha Hadid was like phenomenally.
That was my next question to you actually. I see a lot of Zaha ma'am's influence in your design. I would not say I'm not saying you're borrowing anything, but there is that influence in the kind of curves you put on your facade, especially because being a facade, I'm observing that, right? So there's a lot of Zaha in you.
So I think that those would be the earlier building blocks where understanding, because when we were studying, I think okay, like then modernism, what is after modernism? That's when like the pluralist methodologies have started up, and that's when that was the idea where we were like even when we started doing, even at a student when we were doing assignments, it was always about questioning what was there and what could be possible, like the essentiality, because sometimes design is not about adding things, it's also about questioning the existential things.
It's very deep, yeah.
Yeah, it's about things, because end of the day when we are in a constant age of evolution.
Correct.
And probably I think architecture is one industry which is a culmination of technologies across several other industries.
Correct.
So what happens in aerospace after 70-80 years, that technology can be given to architects. What happens in automobile 40 years later could be given to architects. So that's how like now we are getting access to paints which automotive engineers would have played it with, for example, like 4 decades before. But now we have access to those paints, we have access to those finishes.
Correct.
Now our kitchens are getting paint booths these days.
Correct.
Compared to what was not there
before
several years ago, but where cars were having it for so many times.
Yes, yeah.
So we actually get the last leg of the technology.
Yeah.
Because as industry after aerospace, after automotive and everything. So that's when we the question is about like how, when we talk about how Oscar Niemeyer work was phenomenal in terms of how Brasilia was made and this kind of bold, strong lines. So those kind of things that have been inspired and interesting, and that's when we try to work around it. And most of the time it's like, it's not that we have a template to work, because I always say that we always start with a blank slate, as if there is nothing that we know, and we see that where we can start with. So that has always been an approach, and many times there was this habit, like I have a lot of sketchbooks, but I say that I don't like go back and see my sketches from the past. Because sometimes my wife keeps asking me, like, why don't you you made this option for one day and you just deleted it and now you're starting on another one. So he said, sometimes I feel like getting it go, if it is so strong that it has to happen, it'll come back.
Listening to you, I have a lot of thoughts that are running through my mind. I want to place my thoughts right. First and foremost, if you don't mind, how old are you?
So I'm 38. Right?
You don't sound like a 38 for sure. You don't look like a 38, that's a compliment, and you don't sound like a 38 also is a compliment to you, because the depth of thoughts you come from. Are you a very spiritual person?
Yes, I am.
I can feel that.
So for the past I think for 6 years and all, it has been a new journey that we are enjoying right now. And but otherwise also I think I come from a family where my mother was very spiritual, and I think it has transferred.
Do you meditate?
Yes.
Yes, I can see that, because the clarity of thoughts that is flowing through you will only happen if you are a centered person. If you're not aligned, then this is not possible.
So the whole idea of when we say design, so if it is like having a partnership with the creator.
Beautifully said. Beautifully said. For the first time in 30 years, I've heard this statement. Beautiful. I'll copyright this one. Copyright it to you, but I'll use it somewhere.
Sure. Because we have this incredible opportunity of shaping, because the power of space making is such huge, wherein you can break a society. You can actually, and there won't be any rebellion.
True.
Because that's the power it can have. Because when you say that, when there are any strong idea that is floated around a room, we have different mixed thoughts, and he said, how can you do it to us? And it could be very different voices coming up.
Correct.
But the power is so subtle, the space, into a point where you can't read through what is telling, and slowly but the strength of the order is such that you're just following its instructions.
Okay.
A very simple example, let's say there's a very nice family which likes to have dinners around a table, and they do it very nicely, and they have been doing it for years. All of a sudden, give them a super huge dining room, with a super height ceiling, and the air conditioning is not worked out. You can break that family pattern in less than a month, and they won't complain. All of a sudden, you will start seeing people sitting in different areas, and they are sitting, and all of a sudden it will start breaking the code. Or you can bring it back, or you can break it. It's such a powerful tool. Many a times we don't realize that that's the why it's very important when we read through client briefs, when we talk to clients, we spend a lot of time understanding what kind of people they are. Because we have this, though we are not doctors, but we have a very incredible possibility of actually defining how their well-being, physical, mental, would exist for a very strong period of time. Because the impact of food, probably the impact of space is higher than food.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, because there is a lot of energy that you are dealing with, and you are depositing and exchanging a lot of energy on a daily basis. So the space can be a space that can energize you or pull you down, and obviously architect plays a major role in doing it. Talking about meditation, so have you been initiated into meditation through a guru? You have a guru who you follow?
So we've been with Sadhguru for past 6 years.
Okay.
And so I think I would call him more of a, I say about a scientist or a mystic rather than a guru.
Yes.
So it is more about how I am benefiting from Steve Jobs' inventions.
Correct.
So I am getting benefited by using products of Sadhguru.
True. No, I also had my providential blessing, I would say existential blessing, that in 2008 I met my guru Mahatria. So obviously after which life has changed. It's not that it is about following a person in terms of a cult or something, which is not actually. It is more of a very scientific understanding of spirituality, which is actually, spirituality is very easy, but it's been overcomplicated for whatever reason it has been. But it is actually very easy to understand. It's got nothing to do with a religion perspective. It's just that you understand there is a higher energy that is governing you, and you start aligning to that energy. So Badriji, so how did Ardete begin? And we were talking about your first job, and how humble was the beginning, and where did it all start?
So we started Ardete in Chandigarh because that was one of the two places, because Prerna is from Chandigarh, and in Hyderabad we wanted to start in Hyderabad because Hyderabad was one of the hometowns. So we thought like, okay, either we do it in Hyderabad, it is a bigger city, but I think how like universe brings things together. So it was probably at that time when Hyderabad was having a rough patch with respect to the leading up to the separation of the state. So that thing was building up. Probably that was not the best time in Hyderabad.
It was not settled,
Yeah, it was. So that was the time when we said, okay, I would want probably see Chandigarh for a few weeks, and they're still running.
Okay, but there was no apprehension that it's a tier 2 city, opportunities may be less vis-a-vis Hyderabad, which was actually booming with all that IT explosion that was happening, and one of the reasons why then it split as well. So didn't you feel that Chandigarh may or may not work? Was there an apprehension?
So basically I'm not such a calculative person. So I'm more of a passionate person. So it is because like even interesting thing is like even I got my first project based on my work, not on because somebody I knew. So you would ask me like how would I get a first project?
Correct.
Based on my work. So the interesting part was we met, there was a very important institute, and I met the founder, and we were just seeking some advice. And so it was like before being an architect, I think it is very important for a person to also be a graphic designer, because I don't see not too many architects are good graphic designers.
Okay.
And I was first a graphic designer. I did it for my institution. I did it for when I was freelancing as a graphic designer, and to a point where I was even exploring to do a graphic designer internship for one of a company. But then, so that was in first year when I was doing it for different fairs, exhibitions. So those kind of understanding was of graphics. I used to I made my logo, I made my initial thing with full of passion and everything. So when the cards and the business card, and probably like when I've given her the business card, I said like this looks very different, and it looks very different like how it has been made. And I explained like how the whole process of how the logo was made, because I was fascinated at that point in time, even like today, in terms of how good logos are created. Because and how the optical weights of fonts change, and how it has that subtle flow. And it feels like, because when anything visual, I speak, I can talk to it.
Okay.
I can just like, if you can feel, I can personify it, I can read through the designer when based on what it is written. So I have like that strong connect with anything visual. I think probably the trickier part was I come from a different culture, and studying in a college, you are in a secure environment. You meet people from all over, and the institutions actually have their own culture.
Correct.
But when you come to a real place like a city, where when you come from a different kind of background, understanding people, culture, even like it was much different in a sense that it was also about, I didn't know the city, I didn't know the roots, I don't know the people. So that was a trickier part. Like I think that's also the fun part, wherein you don't know what is coming in.
Yes, you're just flowing with the flow. So I'm sure at 23 this was not built. So where was that small office or the humble office that Ardete started from?
So it was, I think we worked there for almost 13 years, and that was the place we worked there for almost 13 years. It's where, I think it's in Mansa Devi complex. That's where and we just live even today right across opposite to that. Okay. So, and that was even we actually literally had to give a interview to lease that space as well. Because the point was, we know that okay, there was a showroom, and it was probably a showroom where the market where there were quite a few architects there. Even I think Sangeet ji is there and everything. Quite a few people were there, and we thought, okay, because it's a market, people would come in, we will have walk-ins. That was the
ready-made business हो जाएगा तो.
ऐसे हो जाएगा. And that's when we thought like we were, but we knew okay, there was a space that was there, and we got a call from the dealer. He said like he is not, he said he doesn't want to willing to give you, but he can give you. Probably I'm unable to convince him. So probably can you go and convince him? So we had to give him a pitch to convince him. And he's like a family, and has been very wonderful. 13 years we spent there, and then we added spaces and everything. So literally, and if you see, when we talk about passion, it's like you do things which are beyond proportions of logic and everything. And probably so that time it was like we were just me and Prerna, two people, and all of a sudden we probably we had around I was working for 6 months and saved around I think 50,000 grants, and उस 50,000 अकाउंट में है, हमने वो 50,000 उसको फिट आउट करने में खर्च कर दिया. ठीक है, एंड मतलब लास्ट में पैसे भी ख़त्म हो गए, एंड हमने रेंट एग्रीमेंट साइन कर दिया. 30,000 रुपीज़ वी विल पे यू पर मंथ. कहाँ से आएंगे किसी को नहीं पता. So that was the kind of passion driven कि नहीं, हम एक कैबिन नहीं लेंगे, हम छोटा 100 बाई 100 का कोवर्क में नहीं करेंगे. हम एक अपना पूरा फुल फ्लेज, हमें अपना शोरूम चाहिए जिसके अंदर हम काम करेंगे. भले पैसे है कि नहीं है, मगर करना ऐसे ही है. And I think that has been the way normally I live. I think that has been the way this building was made, because I always think that universe can plan better things for you than what you can plan. So if you are even I'm okay even just to see the route till the next turn. That's it. Correct. So wherever things are taking me, I'll go. I'll just have to watch my next 100 steps. That's it. Perfectly said.
So actually, I very fondly remember my guru always saying, water fills the size of the vessel. Right? There is water. But what is your size of your vessel? Are you standing in the rain with a tumbler, or are you standing with a cup or a mug or a bucket or a tank? Now water is going to fill as per the size. I think so. That thought process of yours, right? Ki, theek hai, we will not have a modest start. We start with the bang, and I think so. That has somewhere made this happen today where you're sitting, because your vessel size has always been bigger than that. It has not been realistic, as you said. It is passion driven. So पैशन में कभी रियलिज्म थोड़ा कम हो जाता है.
बिल्कुल हो जाता है, बिकॉज जब कोई आता है कि सर ये प्रॉब्लम है, मगर प्रॉब्लम्स होते नहीं है. वी आर नॉट सो प्रिविलेज्ड टू सॉल्व द मोस्ट यूनिक प्रॉब्लम्स ऑफ द वर्ल्ड. करेक्ट. हम साइंटिस्ट नहीं है. करेक्ट. हम जो हमारे प्रॉब्लम्स हैं अब ये ऑलरेडी सॉल्व्ड हैं, जस्ट दैट वी डोंट नो द आंसर. करेक्ट 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 करेक्ट. तो अब जैसे होता है ना कि सर ये प्रॉब्लम है, ये कैसे होगा. सो व्हेन वी so this is something when I read in a book. It's all about when we have a very far-fetched dream and I say that okay, how do we do it? Because many a times the biggest question what people face is like how it will happen. But what I've learned is like, which I used to do unconsciously in life, is all about like ki, how is not the first question that you ask. Like if I say okay, when Elon Musk would say that okay, we will be on Mars by 28 or 30, you can't solve the problem by asking how. How? The whole possibility that we live in is about what if it happens. That's the first thing. कि मतलब अगर ये ऐसा होगा तो कैसा होगा. Now that is will give you that kind of fuel to find that how.
How is actually restricting you?
Yes, because how is like a question which is a very basic question where you are trying to like you are best short-sighted and you want to get the answer now. But how is such a beautiful discovery. True. In the process. True. But you can only get that fuel where you can live that dream. Because many a times I say like I'm a dreamer, then I'm a designer.
Wow, that's deep. That's deep. So the space which you now currently work in. So this is 3 years. How many years old?
Yeah, I think around will be 3 years.
And you've created a wonderful space. As I walked into the space, I've heard a lot about the space. from my colleagues, from industry friends. So when I walked into the space, the first thing that I saw was LEED platinum rated, because I'm a facade guy, so I saw the shingles on top. Then the next thing I saw was a flowing facade. Impressed me, but as I stepped into the door, I also showed my colleague it's a LEED platinum rated building. Was that something you said you will sure do it, or it just happened?
So it is like, it's again like, it's again that dream. Like, what if we could make something? Because when we look at LEED, I think in Punjab, in an office building, it never happened.
Never.
In an office building. Okay, so that was like, so it is always, I've been living my life when we say that. Okay, for example, there was once a case when I was visiting Salon. So when I was visiting Salon de Mobile Milano, and there was one section which is like called Salon Satellite, and I went there. There are beautiful designers, young designers doing a lot of interesting things, and all of a sudden there is this wall wherein it's participating countries, and like different people participating. And what was problematic for me was there was no India in it. No? So that day I said like, okay, what if I can make India written here in 1 year?
Okay.
So that was the drive. And that what if, like, what can I do? And I don't know like what is possible, what are the methods. I found out the methods, talked to people. They said there would be a selection criteria. You have to make a mock-up. And I'm not a product designer. I designed, like, it is a very beautiful chair. It was just inspired from a flower. And we designed that chair, and it, like there was we had those naive methods of testing structural. We didn't know that way back in SolidWorks, and this is way back 10 years before, like no SolidWorks and everything. Okay. And everything what we wanted was purely driven by passion. And we didn't even know how logistics work, international logistics, how to ship in a big chair which is not foldable, and timelines, and how do we put it in a flight, and how we do it. And everything we figured out, and we actually displayed it. I set up my own stand because it's a small space, 2 meters by 4 meters given to designers. I set up my own stand. Everything was a first time experience, like to stand there for 6 days and do it. But all of this was that this thing, can I put India there? And will that, and to do that to what extent, and whatever. So here also it was like, okay, what if in Punjab we can do a LEED platinum office building? We have this opportunity, what if we do it? And to do that, yes, we don't have like resources that many people would have to do it.
Correct.
But that's the trick, right? Wherein we say that, okay, with this, can we do this without spending anything, overspending? Can we do a platinum without actually having any particular analysis or report specifically just for compliance? Can we do it without that? So the interesting part is like, yes, we got platinum, but probably it would have been one of the buildings wherein like we only attempted for, out of 120 points, 83 points to get to platinum. Like around 85 we applied for, and 83 we got it. And because we couldn't do till 120 because we had to do a lot of analysis and everything, reports, submit like detailed reports, which we didn't wanted to do it. We wanted to do a simple building, very simple building, but how can we do it? That was the challenge we wanted to do.
But honestly saying, I think so this is the first platinum rated LEED building for an architect's office I've entered. There are architect's offices in buildings which are platinum rated or gold rated. That's okay. But a standalone building owned by an architect which is LEED platinum rated, I think so in my 30-year career this is the first building I've entered. Okay, that is intriguing, the platinum rating, the facade, but when I walk into the space, there is a lot of fluidity, there is a lot of natural sunlight flowing through. There is not a consistent form that is existing. The forms are just merging into each other. They are very, I will say, non-linear forms. So this is all, I'm sure, with the flow?
I think yes, because probably like when we were drawing it, we had, I think sometimes because again what happens is the problem with passion is that when you have passion with emotion, so you would tend to do a lot of things, but many a times we'll miss the bus on the essentiality part of it. So when we had like hundreds of options, okay, we want an office to be like this, we want an office to be like that, and we made so many plans, and it was nothing is that because the bigger thing about design is that when we know that because it's very difficult for a designer to know that have we cracked the right option? Is it my best that I have delivered for this?
Correct.
This is the question we are answering.
Correct.
And if we are in dwelling in that kind of domain, so jab hum, so many a times it so happens that when we have passion and emotion, like it's something like when you are an architect doing your own building, there is so much of this thing, okay, what if we do this, what if we do that, and even otherwise when as a designer when we are doing like radical ideas we are executing. So the question is about, again, like as you asked, like is it that are we pushing too much just onto the idea? Is it required by the client, or is it essential for the project? Is it solving the purpose?
Correct. You have to create that balance.
Yes, because otherwise if I am too attached to a solution, then that is also a deterrent to the project.
Correct.
So I need to free myself staying as
so you'll have to play everything in the right proportions. Actually, I was staying at this Best Western Hotel here in Chandigarh. So in the morning when I was walking to the gym, so I saw one of your projects where you used our material. But again, I was very fascinated by the way you have used ACP, right? Because being a facade engineer, being in facades, observing facades for so many years, I always tend to look at any facade I see and I see, okay, this is something different. But I've never seen a person use ACP the way you've used it there. Means actually for a moment, if I was not the facade person, I would not think it is ACP. Because it has nothing to do with the product here. So I'm just keeping the product aside, however it looks, the aesthetics of it. But the orientation you've given it. So how do you see when you as an architect can make so good use of ACP? Now, whatever we have with us, the collection is okay. But then how do you see ACP as a material from the time you've started practicing till today?
Like, see, I have immense respect for every material. Every material has an immense potential. The only thing is that do we know how to achieve it? Do we know the way? Because it is there. The material has it. It is because end of the day it has come from the same soil which we have come from. It has an immense potential. The only thing is that if people say that, okay, if the product is bad, it's only that they haven't figured out ways to use it in a best possible way.
Correct.
So I think I would say that like it has always been because there has been always with designers there's a certain kind of reluctance or resistance because it has been mass used in different methods. But I think we should evolve methods. I think the industry has also evolved methods because the earlier people used to think the problem is with ACP, wherein like I took some time to understand it's with the silicon, substandard silicon that is being used when we talk about a wet cladding.
Correct.
And when you talk about dry claddings today and other methods.
Avoiding the sealant.
And yes, there are few things still I think needs to be figured out in terms of the dynamic printing, because when we talk about repetitive printing, that also when certain methods, because the technology is such that the repetitive dye process when it prints, it needs to evolve because it needs to because sometimes on a large facade it looks repetitive.
Correct. So we need to break that monotony. So yeah, I think so. Technology is evolving towards that side, and it's becoming the need of the day. So every need creates a new way to find solutions to it. Just get little to the lighter side of things. I think so. I have taken in a lot of knowledge now. So okay, before we get into that, I just want to request you that I would request you at least once in 3 months, I want you to give me an appointment for a few minutes, at least half an hour or 45 minutes over a coffee where I don't discuss business with you.
Definitely.
The reason being is, this last 40 minutes of conversation, I have picked up a lot of seashells from the beach. I know what, I am sure you understand what I say. So it's like, there is immense depth in how you think, and there is a lot of things that I am learning as we are conversing now. How is Badriji at home? What is the personality there?
So I think it is more about, I've always been a very because work has taken so much, because it's all about passion of creating something. So that is so strong in me in terms of, so it is like yes, that you have, like my wife is, you're always thinking about work and everything,
exactly,
because that's the problem with passionate people. You don't know where to stop,
draw the line,
and you can't have a full spectrum of life, because end of the day we are like artists, and artists are actually they are zoned in a certain space.
Correct.
And because of that they could do what they are able to do.
Yeah, he may just wake up in the night and start doing the painting which he left 5 hours ago, because he's got a thought now where to put the strokes in. That's the way this is actually. But does ma'am complain about it?
So yes, she would definitely complain in terms of when it gets too much, but I think over the period of time then you probably understand, because end of the day what we come from, we have based on our like, yes, there is a different thing about past lives and everything, but I do understand that it comes when you actually have patterns and things which you are likes, dislikes, which are beyond your lifetime.
Correct.
And end of the day, like, we are also playing a part based on what it is. So
Correct.
in terms of life, I think it's more about once I do this, it's like cricket is one passion, when like I can, and I learn a lot from cricket, because I think learning is such an integral part, where I think probably I can even learn from, when I said, like, sometime once asked me, like, can you learn from anything? I said I can even learn for somebody who's sweeping a floor, because I would be interested in, like, what would be the minimum number of strokes to actually clean that room.
Oh my. So, so is it an advantage to have a spouse who's in the same profession, or how does it work? Does it help home affairs?
So I think helping is something, I think everything would have two sides of coin.
Yes,
sometimes
there's a paradox to everything.
Yes, I think it is more like, rather than it's rather than judging if it is right or wrong, it's, I think it's a way.
It's the way, you've chosen the way.
Yeah.
And you'll have to enjoy the consequences
yes,
to it.
Because yes, everything would have advantages in terms of, but at the same time, it's like when you take your conversations from office to the dining table to in front of children and everything. So everything is so mixed up.
हाँ, तो dining table पे होता है architecture की बात है.
And that's when we have to consciously step out and we see, and because what will happen ultimately is, like, when we have so much of architecture flowed into, like, let's say, a sun right now, then ultimately what we decide is, I don't want to do this anymore.
I guess so. And this might also be happening during travel as well, because your eye is always looking for something, architecture in everything you see. So does it carry on?
Yes, I think that is one thing, that because that's one thing with, I would say, with artists and professions, wherein, like, you can't, because for us it's like everything around is like you're constantly talking to visual things that are around, with spaces and everything, and constantly experiencing things with other people, like just walking through, and you starting looking at things. But at the same time, it's also important that we sometimes give a break, because it's like when you have food, you also have fast days, and sometimes fasting makes you much better person in terms of your
it cleanses
you system. So I think it's also very important that we are on fast, not on food, in terms of visual information.
Yeah, you cut down that sensory perception a little bit.
I think that's where you can be in nature. That's when helps a lot.
Correct.
And even, like, one of the favorite things I would like to do in the mornings is, like, which most of the time is, like, the Chandigarh lake is a beautiful place, and probably it's a blessing to the city. One of the most beautiful places you can walk in the morning.
Okay.
Because not many cities, at least in the up north, where we don't have the beach, would have this kind of setting, for a very nice setting with plantation, with, though it's a man-made lake, but it doesn't look like, and this nice trail which is around 5 kilometers. Because and there's another trail which is, like, less taken, wherein it goes within the reserve forest. And that's really amazing, where you have you can walk in this 15 minutes, you're in middle of a forest.
Very curious to know what time you start your day.
So when, like, normally, like, it opens at 6 o'clock, I tend to be at 6 o'clock, where I can walk through it. So around 5:30 I wake up, 6 o'clock, and there's around 15 minutes drive to reach that place, and 6 o'clock it's open, because the biggest challenge is it's closed during monsoons, so I have to go through another gate, because it actually has 2 gates, and they only open 1 gate during monsoons because the roads get cut off.
Okay.
And yes, people, there are monsoon indicators, there are pythons, there are everything that's come to it. I think that's the better part, like I like snakes, and that's the better
I somehow
part.
have a tact to you. I would now in my head call you a spiritual intellect because there is that right blend of intellect with that spirituality that keeps you very centered. So no, it just the energy flow is very perfect. So does Badriji get time for children? Do you have time to spend with children?
Yes, like in terms of we do play a lot, and like we
Hands-on
also,
father?
yeah, it's more like and I like because the other thing is like cooking is one thing. I think it's probably a very spiritual process.
Okay.
Because you're making something, offering something to somebody, which is part of
So you
him
define
for rest
good
of
cook?
his life.
You're a good cook?
I am a curious cook.
Curious cook.
Because it's like most of the time, like it's more about I'm not like, it feels like I'm talking to the dish, and it's like I would add salt, because I'm not a cook wherein I said okay, I would need to put in this much of salt to do it. I enjoy the process. Let's say probably when I'm making it, probably I would put salt 4 times, because I feel that probably what I've done, probably it needs a bit more, or something needs to be done, or something. I keep on, like, it's more about like enjoying the process.
Okay, that's a Sunday recreation, cooking?
Not not so often, but like whenever I cook, it's like anything, like I always want to.
And what's the best dish the family loves that you cook?
So I think more like one of the things which I would, because anything that I make is something that I try to find value in everything. But I think any kind of gravies, and let's say a biryani would be something that.
So there's a lot of southern influence in the cooking.
I think food, you cannot like when you're in a formative years, and food, I think that doesn't change with age. Whatever you do, till 16 years, 18 years, you can adapt new tastes. But the whole purpose of having
well mentioned, yes. Oh, certain things that are coming in the formative age that are not tamperable, they will continue to be there. Maybe you might wanting to hide it, but it is existing.
Yeah, because even if you see people who go to US, settle and everything for so many years, but still again the food thing you can't change. You can't change it beyond boundaries of countries and everything. And even like when you see like, because sometimes I don't see that, one thing I've seen is that I'm not attached to it, because I lived life in Roorkee, where it is a completely different cuisine, and I was devoid of it. And when I lived in Paris for a year.
Okay.
So I was eating like a localite.
Yeah, French cuisine.
It's French cuisine. So the whole idea of food has completely changed. But yes, if there is an option, like that is the first thing I would go to. But now I think this sense of a kind of distance with food, in terms of like, because what I've learned is always about staying on the edge, not getting comfortable with anything.
Constantly being out of your comfort zone, I guess, is one of your...
That brings you that burning, because comfort is complacency in anything.
Comfort is complacency. Agree, completely agree, yes. And you never know when you get into that complacency. It is very, I say, hidden, right? Because there is another paradox that you're doing something, you're good at it, you are successful. So now success also breeds complacency, and you're like, okay, things are going fine, why should I push the anvil, let it go the way it is. But then actually you are stagnating, which we don't understand we are stagnating.
Yes, yeah, because that's when, if you see even like cricketers, even sometimes like movie makers, actors, so they get into that zone that okay, we've been doing it, and they don't push enough.
Correct.
And that's when they would lose the charm. And I think we see it with cricketers, where you see some people, they're always pushing themselves.
Correct.
Like the great cricketers whom we know, like they're always pushing themselves.
Yes.
But sometimes they get complacent, and you see sometimes you have immense potential when you say like the first series, like wow, this has been the man of the series for this series, and is such a young guy. And after a few years we see that probably because of the success kicking in too much,
correct,
it actually started like falling apart.
And the name is no more heard after that.
Yes.
So you mentioned that you wanted to be in the creative field if you were not an architect. So you watch movies?
Yes, I learn a lot from movies.
And what kind of movies do you like to feast
Which
on?
can so like there are two kinds of things. Sometimes when it is like I would want like most of the time when I want like the passion of movies, I would want to see something which can test, which are mind bending. Probably like something like an Oppenheimer, something like all I would say that Christopher Nolan
movies, like wonderment. It's like you're wondering, is it all possible and
possible, or it's like how, because the challenge here is like because of so much of passionate in terms of the movie making, you can read through what the director was doing here, how the scene was made, and what were the challenges, how, because you're not just being part as a spectator, but you're also an analysis that is happening behind you in terms of why they have created it. So it's so much of thing happening. And the other thing which I enjoy is like I think probably horror movies are like one of, I would say that they're the most passionate in movie making. Because I enjoy like horror to fullest and good horror.
Personality आपका ऐसा नहीं है. You're so centered,
like I like horror. I enjoy it to an extent because like when I go to a horror movie, like say I like the Conjuring series, and when I come back and like my wife is like so happy looking at you, like you feel like so, because I see like the whole the idea of horror. It's not that the horror movie, what I like about is like the whole idea, how much passion is put in to create that kind of chill.
Yeah, and everybody doesn't believe in supernaturals. So to make somebody believe for 2 hours that there is something like this happening and no, it is real, and no, you get into you also get, people get terrified in the theatre. So when I watch Conjuring, I got terrified. But if you ask me, do I believe in ghosts and supernatural, I say no. But he's taken over you now. Now that's the skill.
So I would also look at it as like, okay, when would they scare? Because the earlier, like when initial horror movies were built on jump scares.
Correct.
Which are like, I would say that those are the entry level kind of thing. But then they have evolved to a point where they would crack the code when you think you would feel the heat. They would not do it, and they would do it a moment after.
Correct.
So that's also an evolution. So that's when, so what is happening, how I connect the horror movie is an intense expression of connection for a person when he watches a movie. And as an architect, I feel like end of the day we are curating a scene in real life, and we need that kind of passion. So like that is one thing, because kisi time pe like, so in when I was 19 years of age, my life like completely changed upside down. Because my mother was a single parent, and all my life was one thing कि भाई मेरे को कॉलेज क्लियर करके मेरे को मतलब मदर को मैं ले जाऊंगा. बिकॉज हमारे यहाँ पे जो लड़कों की एक ही चीज़ होती है कि भाई हमने यहाँ से ग्रेजुएशन किया, फिर हम यूएस जाना है.
हाँ.
और वहाँ मतलब सारे मतलब
जैसे तेलंगाना is all about US only. Parceling the child to US.
That is all about that. कि मतलब हम US जाएंगे and वहीं पर ही हम रहेंगे. तो that was all that was in mind कि उस टाइम पे भाई हमने IIT कर लिया तो चलो US जाना तो आसान.
Yeah, you are right. But then that connect got severed because after mom there is no connect.
So it was like completely changed in the sense कि भाई मतलब when you see, because normally like so I lost my father when I was 5 years of age. And around 8 years, like then we thought like my mother married another person, my new father, wherein like we think okay, everything would be fine and we would start a new life. And so at the age of 13 I lost him again. So it was all about like कि my mother को ऐसे रखना है, and like that was all what I had when I was in 19, like till 19. So when I lost my mother, like all of a sudden as if you're जिस platform पे आपको कोई ज़मीन ही अगर खींचते हैं.
Yeah, it's just the soil underneath is pulled down. You're just devastated actually.
Devastated, like in the sense कि भाई अब क्या होगा, कि in the sense कि भाई मतलब this what am I living it for?
Purpose of life is gone, ना?
Is gone, कि भाई अब इसमें क्या करना है मेरे को, कि ये सब मेरे को ज़रूरत है नहीं है, क्या करना है, what is it like, what do I really want?
Well, you would have understood the fragility of life at a very early age. Very early age, life is so unpredictable, कुछ भी हो सकता है. So actually that age, the maturity is at that level that you actually get completely devastated. करना क्या है मुझे? Is it worth everything or not?
And then like when one thing was when I was in college, one thing what I would say is like when you are a student, you actually architecture is something, it's out in the streets, it's not in the books. So it's very important you travel. It's very important you see different places, understand everything, people, you look at people, understand, because we as a subject are more closer to humanities than we are closer to technology.
One thing, as even my profession has taught me, that travel actually teaches you a lot. It teaches you a lot. It is a great teacher, and every journey of yours may be very short, very long, no country, no geography, but once you finish a travel and you come back, you're no more the same person who left home before the travel. That's how I strongly believe.
I think that's I think probably it's very deep into how a human being has been made.
Correct.
Because it is all, I think the human being, the whole essence of, if you look at all the great scholars, they walked the world. They traveled places. I think that is like one of my mentor, how he puts it is like, he says that travel is something that is probably, that's a whole innate purpose of how the longing of a human being is to travel.
Correct.
Because you're not meant to be built into a space or in a particular place. You're not supposed to live there. And that's when this entire idea of like travel, and now we have possibilities of travel, probably the one of the best time where we are living in.
Correct.
Where we can get access to going to several places.
It's become luxurious as well, which was not those days. Right? I want to explore another dimension of you. Do you play a sport?
So I don't play a lot of sport. And like what it is more about nature and walking is what I look at it. But I follow a lot of sport in terms of cricket is something which I learn a lot from.
As this conversation is progressing, I have a lot of questions about thoughts that I want to ask you. Right? Are you a pet lover?
So I'm I do have a pet right now. Okay. But probably like it is like when you like for example when my wife brought it in January, and like it's been few months. So initially it was like I never knew that I wouldn't be so away from pets. Like for me it was a normal thing, but when something has come closer, and when it is something all around, I could not give the love like what she would give. So it was more about acceptance, understanding what life situation is like, because tonight I'm not a pet lover, but things has changed in the last 7 to 8 months, and looking at communication has completely changed, because to a point where right now like because it's a Shih Tzu, and like Popcorn it is, and
name is Popcorn.
Popcorn.
Oh, wow, that's a very nice name.
I even asked him like, okay, come and eat in his sign language, and he would just do it. So the communication is like all time high. Even I ask him to sit on a sofa, he does it, and he have to ask him like, can you go there, and he would just do it. Yeah. It's such a communication again is like language and communication. I'm like really into.
Actually, pet parenting opens up a very different dimension in you as a person, right? I somehow think the whole environment of the house is kind of kept very lively by the pet.
True.
Whether it's a dog or a cat, and they kind of mitigate a lot of negative energies that come through into the space. I've personally seen a lot of cats at my grandmother's place. So uncles stay 3 floors, 3 uncles. So each of them have two cats. So I can always, when we enter that space, those cats might not come and play with you, but there is a very nice aura when you move into that space. They are bigger families, children are playing everywhere, there's a lot of chaos, but in that chaos you can find some sanctity with the pets moving around. I think so. And pet lovers happen. The pet lovers are the ones who say, I don't like pets. They end up being more pet loving than the ones who say they are pet lovers. So that's how I look at it. So we were talking about you pushing the boundaries and the borders and then moving. Now, where are you exploring Ardete to be now?
So it is like right now the curiosity is like we were working in Middle East, wherein in Sharjah. So wherein like we are doing a 6 floor building, which is an apartment studios. So that is also wherein like the client said, I've really he's seen some of our work, and he said, I really want that kind of work which is not available here. And one of the challenge which he said was the brief that was given was in new downtown Sharjah, it's at the entry point. and what we are doing. And the downtown Sharjah is all done by Zadid architects, the huge mall and everything. तो उन्होंने ये कहा था कि like can we do something which is even after people seeing what Zaha's work, can we create an curiosity for this kind of work? So that's the question we are dealing with, where we said, okay, we can still inquire, because I would always say every design is an inquiry. I don't know where I'll reach, but there is a strong intent, strong burning that I need to give the best of it. And that's what it brings. Like, I don't know, because many times it's like there are no presets to anything. Everything flows, everything is like a blank slate, and it's like
yeah, you don't go with preconceived notions like ऐसे ही करना है, just flow.
And बहुत बार जैसे आप मेरे से पूछते हो कि आप कैसे सोचते हो, मुझे तो ये भी नहीं लगता मैं सोचता हूँ.
Wonderful. Emptiness is
because
actually,
I don't, मतलब मुझे तो मतलब the whole perspective is like I only feel like whatever, see, there is all like when I read, like if you look at how Nikola Tesla, if you look at most of his readings are still unclassified. There's so much that the world doesn't know what he has found. He himself says that it has been downloaded to him. So end of the day, my job is to be a right receptor to the universe, which can flow through me and make things happen where it's supposed to happen.
Be a qualified instrument.
Yes.
Yeah, that's all we are doing. See, we think that we're doing a lot. We've been selected to do particular things, and it's how, depending on how can we become that instrument, right? Not every fruit lands to Master Hari Prasad Chaurasia's playing box. There's a selected flute that reaches him, and you got to be that flute, and that's exactly what you're saying. Then if you're saying that I am doing this, I am doing that, no, you're not doing it. You've been chosen to do it. So when you've been chosen, that's a gift. So respect the person who's gifted, the energy that has gifted it to you, and do the best. And chhod do baki. It will manifest what it has to give you.
That's what is like when what I learned when I on this path is also about like to bring in the maximum intensity without any attachment.
Detach attachment.
Yes. So like intensity is full high in terms of whatever we are doing, like the passion is full high, but there's no expectation like this would be the result of it, because like sometimes my mentor puts it like nobody likes to play fixed matches, is it? You want to play a match where you don't know the outcome.
Correct.
So with life, why do you want to fix it with your imagination?
Correct. Yes. And how's the project shaping up? Or you?
So right now we are going through approvals.
Okay.
We are going through approvals with I think it's also new to us in terms of having signed so many contracts, which is very different from here.
A lot of documentation.
And everything. And I think hopefully they would start it in a couple of months.
So you set up an office, or you operating from here?
So right now we haven't set up an office. We are operating from here, but yes, we are keen to do it in the near future, where we are right now traveling, and we're just trying to see what potential markets is. Because I think as I'm always like for me like there has been a time where I consciously came back from Paris, leaving a job there to be in India. And I think probably for me like India, like I'm very nationalist, I would say, like, and I love my country a lot. So and that's the reason I would always want to do work more here.
True.
To actually build something where we can see well the world would be interested in India. So that's the whole purpose, and one always think that as an individual you can only do so much with the kind of possibilities that is there. But most of our kind of work is to bring inspiration among designers, wherein like together we can build a better country.
That's been a wonderful conversation we had. I'm actually in such a deep state talking to you, very oblivious of what is happening around me, and it's been a learning session for me. I would not call this a podcast. I wish you all the success, all the prosperity, all the happiness, and lots of peace. And as you very well said, I'm a nationalist, and I want to do a lot of work in my country. Trust me, I'm telling it from my heart. The country needs architects like you to beautify our skyline, and maybe in the years to come, as we referred to Zaha, I wish and pray that we very soon be referring to Badrinath Kaleru as an icon for architecture. You've done extremely well. I'm sure there's a long way to go with the kind of potential you come with. Wishing you all the success and luck. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your kind words. Thank you.
So after that deep conversation, let's have a little bit of fun.
Sure.
Try to be quick, and please try to be as candid and controversial if you want to be. I leave that choice to you. I'm sure you will do justice to it.
No, I was a contestant in BQC and I won one of it, so I will try to get as many as.
Coffee or chai while designing?
Chai.
Chai? Okay. Was it chai all the time? Even when you come from Telangana, was more predominantly a coffee place?
So it is no. I think one of this thing probably like again informative years, like every day, like even when I was a child, because not so it used to be like every day in the morning chai like mom prepares. I think it's more nostalgic than anything, and it's more cultural.
There's an emotional connect.
Yeah.
Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Early bird. When during college, I used to be a person where I used to. Like I always used to see that I want to sleep after after seeing the sunrise. So that used to be the way in college, but now I'm.
If you weren't an architect, what would you be?
Director.
Movies. And you would have made a great one. Trust me, we would have had another Christopher Nolan. Which is the weirdest place you've drawn a design or you thought about a design?
I think no place is weird, like but
no,
yes,
in common man terms.
I think like any place, like a toilet on top of a mountain or anything.
Okay. 3 things that we would find in Badriji's work bag.
So it's something that 3 things. See, I'm not good at packing, so I would always miss some of the stuff.
Office bag mein?
Office bag mein, yes, like. It's like I'll always have an iPad, I will always have a tablet and a writing tablet.
Okay. Are you the hand sketch person or the digital tablet person?
So I sketch a lot with hand. At the same time, when I work with a mouse, I think it's an extension of an hand. So always I feel so comfortable in couple of tools where I sketch it on it.
So it's just like sketching on paper?
Yes, for me like mouse is my pen.
Okay. One building you wished you had designed from the past, done by any other architect?
I think one building which I think so one building it is okay, one on the top of my mind is the Azerbaijan one which is done by Saadit.
Yes.
Sometimes I feel that probably like she could have done it this way, like if we something could have done it this way.
Okay. What are the kind of projects you love to design? Residences or building? What?
So see, end of the day, architecture is about leaving an impression and impact. So I would like to design more public buildings which can impact more people, because the best fun I have is when I do schools, because like there you are actually creating an impact on 2,000 children. Correct. That will be living in.
Somewhere you're building the future as well.
Yes.
What's your go-to midnight snack?
Chips.
In the future, not now, would you prefer a city life or a quite countryside life?
I think countryside.
Countryside? Okay. And what is the most overrated design trend?
I think facade itself.
I was about to say, please be candid, and that is as candid as you can get. Okay, we have a topic to debate sometime on it. Okay, minimalism or maximalism?
Optimism.
Okay, what is your go-to stress relief after a tough day? Okay, now also not with you in the context, not tough day of work, or a good day of work, or a long day of work.
Long day of work, I think the best thing would be like a cup of tea and a nice comic movie on screen.
In a few, very few words, what is one thing that architecture has taught you?
To live.
What's your design superpower?
I think connection with universe.
one tool you can't live without.
Without a writing pad.
What is your happy place in a project? When there's a project happening, what would be your happy place in that project?
I think site office.
Favorite building in the world? You'll have to give me only one. You can't give me multiple answers on this.
Bruderklaus Chapel by Peter Zumthor in Germany.
So this was a wonderful session with architect Badriji, and I thank him and I wish him all the luck and success. It was for me it was a big learning process, and I would always want to carry this conversation behind the camera sometime if we get a chance. So thank you, Badri. Thanks for having us, and it was a privilege.
Thank you for being a wonderful host. I think you are a professional podcaster.
Thank you.